States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast.
And I wonder what will he think about America today in 2021. This was in 1984. This was exactly 37 years ago. What do we think about America today? As they believe the perception that was taught to them that the news is good and that the news never lies. Who was that, you might ask? Me, right here. You're looking at one right here. Me. It's me. I've before I started this whole politics journey, one of my main sources, if not my main source, was. Welcome back to another episode of the Valentine Show. In today's show, I'm going to be reacting to a KGB defector by the name of Yuri Bezmenov. So let's get right into it. Let's go. Latino reacts, Christian Latino on top of that, reacts to Yuri Bezmenov. And on top of that, the coincidence, written or interview done in 1984. What is that alluding to? Let's go.
Mr. Bezmenov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions.
This is insanity. This is something that we don't understand. And let me tell you guys out there, the leftists are really smart individuals, really smart. They understand that change doesn't come overnight. They understand that change has to start where? At the grassroots level, from the beginning get-go. You have to start influencing culture. They know how to do that excellent through movies. They're the best, sometimes some of the best artists out there, best actors, best singers, etc., etc. They know how to, obviously, in schools, you know what they're doing in schools. Do I have to even tell you what they're doing in school? And they are able to, because they understand this. They understand these things, which sadly, the right, us, we don't use. It seems like we don't use some of these tactics that these people are really trying. They're trying to change the world, guys.
In the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in four basic stages.
I just said it.
The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students.
You see what he's talking about? Look, I haven't watched this full video. I'm reacting to this full video now. He has already talked about education already, and he's already talked about how long this process takes to start doing.
In the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism.
This was back in 1984. What's going on today in the United States? It's 2021. Has this worked? Let me know in the comments if you think this worked. I think this has worked to an extent. Is it is it Russia that's doing it? No, I don't think it's Russia. I think it's just the left, the worldwide left in general, leftism, communism, socialism, all the people in the left. Just look at the youth in America. Just look at the youth. Look, Antifa, people who are shutting down any type of speech that they don't like, etc., etc., etc.
The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before,
everything goes in America.
Exposure to true
if not, you're not
information
tolerant.
does not matter anymore.
What is it? True what?
Thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter.
This is such an important thing. We have information, but if the left comes and changes information and gives us the information that's not true, most people will stay 1 hour on this phone on TikTok going back and forth. Oh, 1 minute video. It's hilarious. Oh my God. Yet they will not stay 15 minutes reading a book or 15 minutes reading an article and looking up the information on their own. Yet, and they're walking around and you will think that some people would think, and they will say, oh, brainwashing. You think that people brainwashing and walking around like this and walking like this and kind of like, oh, he's brainwashed and this and that. Brainwashing, some people don't even know that they're brainwashed. Some people don't even know that the information that they have is corrupt information coming from a propaganda machine. People don't know that because they believe the perception that was taught to them that the news is good and that the news never lies. Who was that, you might ask? Me, right here. You're looking at one right here. Me. It's me. I've before I started this whole politics journey, one of my main sources, if not my main source, was CNN. CNN was my main source, one of my main sources. And you know how they straight up just lie to your face about the facts. And if my worldview is shaped by this corrupt information, then I'm gonna have a corrupt worldview.
Anymore.
If you still here, hit that like button, hit that share button. We're trying to grow. We're trying to make something big of this Valentine's show. And only with your guys' help, we're going to make it happen. So hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. But very, very, very important, that way you don't get the ideological subversion. If you don't want ideological subversion, hit that notification bell. Let's go.
A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before.
Wow, he just said that like nothing. Facts don't matter to some of these people. No, facts, they don't matter.
For that's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. It's what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast.
I wonder if this guy's still alive. Somebody in the comments, let me know if this guy's still alive. And I wonder what will he think about America today in 2021. This was in 1984. This was exactly 37 years ago. What do we think about America today?
The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all...
You heard what he said, right? If you allow these people to bring the country into crisis, if you allowed, you looking at me right now, if you allow these people to do all these things that they want to do, you have to take power. You have to take responsibility for you. Don't expect for a leader to come and save you. Don't expect for somebody else to come in and protect your family and protect your country if you allow it.
Kind of goodies and the paradise on earth to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale.
1984,
who
baby.
will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in the United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemy.
So they're just they're just tools. Look at this part that he says. Sometimes a lot of these, sometimes. Why these communist revolutions have so much death and their own people, their own leaders, like I think it was Lenin, Lenin that sent to kill no, not Lenin, Stalin sent to kill, well, I might be confusing them with was one of the two is Lenin or Stalin sent to kill a person, another leader that was supposed to become the president of the United States. I forget the name now. In Mexico, obviously, why? Because he was a threat. That's why.
Of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power, and that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split, and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere. The time bomb is ticking with every second. The disaster.
There you go.
David Duke.
David Duke is a bad...
That was Yuri Bezmenov. He said a lot of things there that people don't want to hear because they don't have time. They're on TikTok. They're on Instagram. He said a lot of things that make a lot of sense to me now. After I've been involved in the whole politics situation for 4 years now, thanks to Donald Trump. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. Is Yuri right? I think he's 100% right. Is it coming from Russia? No, I don't think it's coming from Russia. I think it's coming from, a lot of it's coming from the United States. Probably the majority of it's coming from the United States because leftist ideologies have just influenced or penetrated or subverted is the better word, the American psyche. Hit that like button, hit that share button, help me grow. by doing those things. God bless, Godspeed. Me, Valentine, I am out.